Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Castro Valley Unified School District Board meeting. My name is Lavender Whitaker, our Vice President. Amy, do we have any comments? No, we do not. So the board will recess to close. Oh, we will move to item 1C, approval of the agenda.
I would move to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Trustee Raymond, your vote. Oh, and please turn on your mic to vote.
Yes.
Trustee Kuziak,
Yes.
Trustee Howard.
Yes.
My God, my brain is killing me. Trustee Adams,
Yes.
and I will vote yes, so that passes 5-0. Thank you so much. Are there any public comments? There are no public comments regarding closed sessions items. So now we will recess to closed session and return to 6 p.m. And we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Castro Valley Unified School District Board meeting. We are reconvening to session. Item 3B, we did not take any action in closed session. And we will move to item 3C, take action in open session on closed session items. So the board will need to take action on the agenda closed session items 2.A, 2.B, and 2.C. They're each individual decisions. So I will ask the board, is there a motion to approve stipulated expulsion for case 02-22-23?
I would move that we pass 2A.
I'll second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Sarah? Your vote?
I vote yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So the motion passes 5-0. We will move, is there a motion to approve stipulated expulsion for case number 03-22-23?
I move that we move to B.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Sarah, your vote?
I'll vote yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. The motion passes 5-0. We'll move on to, is there a motion to approve stipulated expulsion for case number 4-22-23?
I'll make a motion to approve it for item 2C.
I second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Sarah?
I will vote yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, and the motion passes 5-0. We will move on to item 3D, the mission statement. Trustee Howard, will you please read our mission statement?
Sure. We work together to provide safe, challenging, innovative, and culturally responsive learning environments to ensure that all our students feel respected and supported to achieve their unique academic potential and explore their individual talents.
Thank you, Trustee Howard. We will move on to item 3E, public comment instructions. The board respects and encourages the public to comment on matters on the board agenda and within the board's jurisdiction. The board fully supports civil discourse and requests that everyone respect each other and their point of view. Individuals who would like to address the board must complete a request to speak form or via the Google form at www.cv.k12.ca.us/public comment/ and submit it prior to the start of the agenda item. At the discretion of the board president, speaker cards may be accepted after the start of the agenda item. Your name will be called and you will either come to the podium to speak or unmuted if you're online during your turn and be allowed to make public comments. After the allotted time, you will then be remuted. Individual speakers are asked to limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes unless the board decides otherwise. There are up to 30 minutes of public comment allowed on each agenda item. With board consensus, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed. This meeting is being recorded to prepare the official minutes. To comply with the Brown Act, the board may listen to comments from the speakers under public comment, but can neither discuss nor take action on the issues presented. With that, we will move on to item 4, student board member report. Quentin, how are things going?
Things are going fantastic. It's been a few weeks since we had our last board meeting, so I have a few updates for the board. Number one, this happened actually around the time of our last board meeting. Chabot Elementary participated in the CV Light Parade. Chabot students, parents, and teachers marched down the boulevard in front of their school float. Chabot finished the parade winning a Castro Valley Light Parade 2022 School Spirit Gold Award. Very, very impressive. Multiple schools around the district are participating in the Adopt a Family Toy Drive this season, which is in partnership with CV Outreach. Band and choir students at the middle and high school level are hosting their winter concerts in the weeks leading up to winter break. Independent had the chance to welcome San Jose's Teno Ensemble to Independent. They came as part of their 5th grade instrumental music program, but all students TK through 5th grade were able to enjoy and participate. They'll have several of these performances throughout the year, highlighting music from different cultures throughout the world. Also, Chabot's student council team is sponsoring a canned food and toy drive through December 15th and supporting the Davis Street Community Center. Also at Chabot, K through 3 music program will begin in January of 2023. Proctor is having a winter book fair Monday, December 12th through Monday, December 19th. And at the high school, our ping pong tournament ended the week before Thanksgiving break. Our annual canned food drive also ended the Friday before Thanksgiving break. We collected a total of 4,000 cans, which is roughly around the same we got last year. And high school students this week and I believe next week are volunteering as outdoor school counselors. And that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, Quentin. Parveen, we'll move on to your superintendent's report.
Thank you. Thank you. So a few things, lots of excellent performances as you heard from Quentin. In fact, I watched the play that he was in. He was awesome. So I did go to the choir performance and it's just, you know, when you watch students, you know, 300 students performing, you just, you know that there was so much work behind the scene that the instructors, the teachers did to get them to that point, and the kids are working so hard. So that's great. We do have COVID tests for home that we already are. Amy has already sent out information so that we ask that people test before they come back from the winter break. Because we did that for Thanksgiving, we had like over 50 who didn't come, which really helped. When they already knew that they had COVID. So we'll continue to do that during these long breaks. And that's great. I've had several school visits, CVE, Jensen Ranch, Creekside, Chabot, Vanoy today. I did attend the CVEF meeting. I did share a little video of pictures that they had taken that we have from the wellness centers at the middle school, because they did raise funds to actually, furnish them. And it looks beautiful. In fact, I think a little field trip there might even, be a lot better than the pictures, because it's wonderful. I attended the CSBA conference because I do some work with them and did a couple of sessions. So next year it'll be in San Diego again, if that's of interest to board members. There were 3,600 people at the conference. Mind you, not very many people wore masks. But it was a great conference. We had just recently had an amazing, actually just a couple of hours ago, I was at a curriculum committee. It's incredible the kind of work our teachers are doing, and the person who works with us, Tyson Amir, has put together the most incredible resources for our teachers who were so excited. They work together very well, but there's just this need for additional just time for professional development, not just once or twice a year, but just ongoing. And that's something that we were talking to our teachers about. So just great work they're doing. The other piece I wanted to share is actually just some numbers around our percentage of students who qualify for free and reduced, even though everyone gets meals, but it is for other programs. And I was very happy, and it's due to all the work that Ms. Chan and her team have done. We went from 23% free and reduced to 35. That's a huge jump. And then unduplicated, which is foster youth, economically disadvantaged, and English learners, we went from 29 to 39%. And also our English learners went up to 13%. So I just good numbers to be thinking about. Last but not least, today we spent a few hours talking about legislation with people around the state at AXA, and the 5 areas that we are going to focus on with legislation. One is funding, obviously stable and ongoing. Second is equity-centered education practices, advocating for legislation around that. Third is staffing, staff shortage, pipeline, training, credentialing, support to retain, all of those things. Mental health was another huge area that we are focusing on, students and staff as well as the community. And then accountability, kind of figuring out a better way to have aligned and sensible accountability system. So I'll end it there. Thank you.
I just have a quick comment, Parveen, and that's Susie, for your team. I mean, this is amazing. These numbers, we're being able to get help to people that really need it. Means you're doing the outreach that's needed. So I just want to thank you and your team for doing that. And then also looking at these numbers, it doesn't change the dollar value that we get from the state, correct? We're still below.
No, as far as supplemental funds and concentration, we're not quite up to that threshold, but we are, because with the additional, really the 10% increase in unduplicated count, that means we actually will get additional dollars that will be added to our supplemental funds. Yes.
Thank you. Mike?
Just had 2 quick things to say. Taking away the stigma for free and reduced lunch and doing that, having been one of those kids who was petrified to bring that form home and I didn't want my mom to fill it out, I just appreciate the efforts of this district to do it in a way that's gets the meaningful data that we need to serve our students, but in a way that's not othering. So you appreciate it more now once you're on the school board, how that's a gateway to so many other important services and money. So I want to thank you for that. My second comment is I will always be amazed by your leadership in the state, both through CSBA and AXA. And I don't know if many people in the community appreciate, we do have an educational leader in this room, and it's you. And there's a lot of people who look to you for your leadership. And I appreciate that you see the importance of professional development, not just for yourself, but by giving back and supporting those entities and also for our teachers. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We will move on to item 6, the California School Employees Association and Castro Valley Teachers Association report. Is there anybody online for CSEA? All right, Mark, please join us.
All right, everybody. Congratulations, trustees Howard and Raymond. We look forward to working with both of you in the service of Castro Valley students. My speech tonight will focus on the need for CVUSD to be competitive in specialized, hard-to-fill positions. One of our many goals as a union is to retain and recruit the best educators in a competitive market. I know this interest is shared by everyone here. This year, CVUSD introduced a dual language immersion program, which the board members know about, which is a tremendous asset for our students and community. DLI teachers are a highly competitive position for a few reasons. DLI instructors must be bilingual, possess a specialized credential called a BCLAD, and in the case of CVUSD, build this program from scratch. As you can imagine, there is not the largest pool of qualified candidates for this job. There are currently only 3 DLI teachers. With each new year, there will be a new grade level to build from scratch until years down the line, CVUSD will have a full TK-12 DLI program. This is a great program and opportunity for our students, and the current teachers who are teaching the program are dedicated and super positive and want the program to succeed. There are surrounding districts who have had DLI for years. They have established curriculum, they have teachers who have taught the course before and can collaborate with new colleagues and offer mentorship, and they offer competitive stipends to attract talent. Because this program is new this year, our negotiations team did not research surrounding districts to gauge how they compensate for this tough to fill position during last year's negotiations. So there is no negotiated stipend for our DLI teachers. This can be adjusted mid-year by negotiating a side letter that will later be added to the contract and a short-term memorandum of understanding that ensures a competitive stipend until we can codify it through negotiations. The benefit would be twofold. There are 2 positions available for next year, and having potential teachers know that there is a competitive stipend would hopefully attract talent. It would illustrate to our current DLI teachers that their talent is welcome, CVUSD values their unique specialized trade, and the district values and wants to participate in negotiating a competitive stipend for them. The past few years have taught us to be nimble and flexible. We're asking CVUSD to be nimble and flexible. Pushing this back to the normal negotiation cycle or multi-year budget adoption cycle puts our students and members at a disadvantage. Teachers are deciding now if they will stick with CVUSD next year. Potential teachers are deciding soon which school districts they will apply to interview at. We don't want to wait until June to fill a critical role for next year in the middle of a crisis in the pipeline for developing new teachers. We also proudly represent speech and language pathologists who play a critical role in the continuation and of services we offer Castro Valley families. We have had SLP positions open for months. That's months of assessments and service time not happening to the standards we hold ourselves to in CVUSD. CVTA proposed that we work on an MOU or a side letter for mid-year for 2 reasons. There is a 1.8 position available, and every other district has a financial incentive for this unique position. And it will illustrate that CVUSD values our current SLPs and recognizes that they are in a highly competitive market and CVUSD wants them to stay. You may be asking or thinking, why not just wait until contract negotiations? The answer is because over the last 2 years, the state budget has continued to shift into June. It is increasingly difficult to fully wrap up negotiations in April or even May compared to years past. Even last year's lightning round of negotiations concluded past the peak of hiring season for public schools. We have a common interest in attracting and retaining the most talented folks for specialized roles like dual language instruction and speech therapy. We want to help CVUSD do better in this regard. Let's work this out now so we can be positioned to thrive during hiring season. Speaking of seasons, it's the holiday season. I wish everybody good health, peace, and joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and a happy holidays to you and your family as well. We will move on to item 7, public comment for items not on the agenda. Are there any requests? Thank you. And we will move on to item 8, our annual organizational meeting. So is there a motion to open the meeting?
You don't have to have a motion.
Do I need to? Oh, well, it says action, so I'm opening the meeting then. Thank you.
Very good.
I have the power. Right, we will move on to electing the president of the Board of Education for 2023. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to,
Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Lavender Whitaker to be
Second.
the president. Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any further discussion? Quentin, your preferential vote.
Yes.
Sarah,
I vote yes as well.
Mike,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
and I'm going to abstain because it just feels too weird. So
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
thank you. We will move on to item C, elect the vice president clerk of the Board of Education for 2023. Gary,
I'd like to nominate trustee Kuziak as vice president.
is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Quentin, your preferential vote.
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Mike,
It feels awkward, so I will abstain as well.
I feel you. Gary,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
and I will also vote yes. So the motion passes with one abstention. Yeah, we'll move later. Okay. Item 8D, appoint the secretary of the Board of Education. Gary,
I'll move that we appoint Superintendent Amati as the secretary.
I'll second that.
Very good.
it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further in discussion? Quentin, your preferential vote.
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Pardon me, Dolly,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you so much, Arvine. Move to item E, adopt resolution 23-22-23 signature card for board members. This is an action.
I will move that we adopt the signature card.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Quentin, your preferential vote.
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
and I will also vote yes. So the motion passes 5-0. Oh, 6-0.
6-0.
Glad I can add. Item 8F, review and consider adoption of the revised day, time, and location of regular board meetings for 2022 and 2023.
I move that we take the organizational meetings of item 8F.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Gary,
Yeah, I mean, I think the calendar is great, but I see that there are only, at this point, 2 workshops or special meetings on there, and I'd just like to retain we might want to have some extra ones on there, so just make that point.
Mike,
I think this is something I'll bring up in our January meeting. I would like for us to maybe at that time consider a different night. But we can, for our regular board meeting rather than midweek, but we can have that robust conversation maybe at that meeting for next year.
Have to have that discussion.
Yeah.
We did do that. That's why we moved to Wednesday.
Yeah.
But the request is to just have a conversation and see.
okay, great. Which means that we would look at it for 2023, 2024 school year. Great. Thank you for the clarification. Quentin, your preferential vote.
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The motion passes 6-0. And we will move on to item 8G, appointment of board representatives.
It's the chart that you filled out.
There.
the,
So you have a copy, do you have actually Amy has it on here for us. So we already have president, vice president, we have Eden Area ROP. And then the one you have to talk about and kind of decide is the Eden Area ROP alternate.
You can remove my name.
So we can remove Mike's name. Okay. All right. Is it just, but we need one person?
Sarah?
So I'd be happy to volunteer to be that person. I'm personally very interested and invested in the idea of occupational training as associated with our schools and availability for our students. And I'd love to know more about that program and hopefully one day move into the actual role. So I'm very interested in serving in that role.
So question, I know the numbers aren't showing up for Sarah, because we haven't calculated it, is maybe down the road, if there's something that is between you and Dolly later down, if you take that one and she takes another one?
Yeah.
As the numbers go?
Okay, so we can move down.
The next one looks like Matt Salpa.
Yeah.
I'm happy to remove my name for consideration for this one.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to do that as well. I'm very interested also in SPED issues in their district, so.
Yeah. So the alternate attends if the person cannot attend. So, okay. So that one's already done. Board Policy Subcommittee is a 2-year commitment. We had Trustee Kuziak and Trustee Adams. And then Ed Foundation, we had Trustee Kuziak. We have 2 people. We only need 1.
I'm happy to remove my name from consideration if Dolly would like to take that on. I've done that for 2 years.
Okay. Next one, we have Special Ed Parent Advisory and then Equity Team. Everybody's interested.
I seem to be on a lot of these, so I guess we can remove my name from that one, although it has been good being on the equity team.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to Dr. Ryman. That's amazing work you do there.
Amazing.
But yeah, I don't need to be on that.
Okay, I think that's Revenue Enhancement Committee, right?
Apparently I forgot to respond to the email. I know, sorry, Amy. I think you sent it. I would like to continue on this if possible.
We can add your name right there and then we can talk about which 2.
Is it 2 people or 1 on the revenue?
2.
enhancement?
It's 2. And so, I mean, I would
I would love
consider,
to learn more about that.
yeah, I would say, let's see where the numbers lie.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Wellness Council and see.
Yeah.
I'm willing to take my name off the Wellness Council since I already have 6 points.
Where's our points? I'm not seeing them all. Oh, I'm at 5. Okay.
Yes, to give people other opportunities since I'm board president. I want to equal out the equity for participation.
Yeah, and I'm happy to remove my name as well from there.
I guess I can remove my name. I see other people need more points than me.
Well, I guess this is the question for Sarah. Would you rather have Wellness Council or the alternate for the Eden Area ROP? Because that way to balance things out.
Well, probably the Wellness Council if it's more active engagement
Great,
on a regular basis.
great.
I think
Then
they
that
have like
solves-
2 meetings. It's quarterly. They've already had 2.
I love that.
Great. That way we can take
This is alternate.
Dolly is our alternate for ROP. And then it looks like for Revenue Enhancement Committee, Dolly, you're already at 6.
Lord.
Um,
Gary's at 4.
Mhm.
Only got 3 if that, if we need more people spread around.
Oh, I see.
I would say, well, go ahead, Gary.
I've been on there for a while, so maybe it's time for a change.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
It's Dolly right now. Let's see what the number says. So that gives Dolly 7. I mean. Yeah. So just checking, Dolly, you have 7.
At 7. I guess I could trade 1 point, I guess, if I have to. I was wanting to try to, do the Eden area ROP, but if I'm at too many points, I don't know.
And
And I'm okay at 7 points. I don't mind either.
what do you think, Sarah? Do you want another point?
I mean, I'd be happy to jump back into the ROP if Dolly's wants to leave it, just to sort of equalize some of the workload across the board.
I would recommend that. It doesn't mean you two have to do that, but just, for equity purposes, but it's up to you two. I'm going to let you two decide.
Okay. All right. I'll let go of the alternate spot.
Okay, great. Thank you for all of your collaboration and coordination to plan out for next year. So this is an action item, so we still do need a motion to approve what we all set up.
I would move approval for the appointment of board representatives, item 8G.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Quentin, your preferential vote?
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Motion passes 6-0.
and then Ms. Kyer will send you the final, so you have it.
And I will move us to 8H, assignment of board members to superintendent's parent leadership council meetings for 2023. And you do have it right in front of you. And we did sign up. So this is a motion.
I move that we adopt the parent leadership council meetings time and place and board members.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Quentin, your preferential vote.
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The motion passes 6-0. And I will close the annual organizational meeting of the board. And at this time, we are going to move to a 5-minute recess, returning here at 6:37. That way, if any of you need to go home, you may. Otherwise, we'll return in 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Right. Welcome back from our break. We're going to get started again with our meeting, and we'll move on to item 10, the consent agenda. This is a motion.
I will move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Quentin, your preferential vote?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, and the motion passes 6-0. Move on to reports, discussions, and action items. First, 11A, approve personnel report. This is a motion.
I will move that we approve it.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Sarah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I will also vote yes. The motion passes 5-0. Now we are moving on to item 11B, approve variable term waiver for 2022-2023 for Carly Becerra.
Thank you. Our staff is recommending for the board to approve Carly's short-term waiver. We are making the recommendation that she is qualified in the two fields and she has really demonstrated the competence. And so we need to have a open document with the board to approve it in public session so that we can then send it to CTC for approval.
I move that we adopt the variable term waiver for Carly Becerra.
Let's second that, please.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
If I made just one comment, as a parent who has availed herself of Ms. Becerra's services, both as a long-term sub and as a camp counselor for both her kids, I think you're such a great addition to the district. So I was very happy to find out that you were actually my son's teacher last year.
I just want to say, take a point of privilege. Carly was in my late husband, Nicholas Whitaker's leadership class at CVHS, and it's such a wonderful, it's so wonderful to see you come back to the district, and you were such a great part of his life, and he would be so proud to see what you've done. So, Sarah, your vote?
Oh, a big yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Motion passes 5-0, but I just want to say, point of privilege. Can she say a couple of words and introduce who's with her?
Oh, of course.
Would you like to come up to the podium
Yeah.
and say anything? You don't have to.
Carly.
Yes.
Yes. No, you.
You're welcome to say a few words and let us know who joined you tonight.
Yes. Okay, never mind. Now I just embarrassed myself. I would like to thank you guys for all the opportunities CVUSD has provided me. I have been, born and raised through this district. So it truly is an honor to get to teach the students that used to be little me's. And I always think of little me and the teachers I had. And I got to work with amazing mentor educators that I had as a teacher. I mean, that I had as a student. Now working with them as a teacher has been truly a privilege. I won most likely to return as staff senior year, and I told people they were crazy, and I said, no, I would never do that. And here I am. So I also appreciate just my own peers for believing me and steering me in the right direction, because this is the right direction.
And
Who's with
who's
you?
with you tonight?
This is my mother. She works at the high school as a registrar. She's lovely. She should win the door decorating contest. I'm just saying it because
Yes.
my students are helping with the art. So if she could win, that'd be lovely.
I
you, I
second the
appreciate it.
door decorating thing too. And Carly is an amazing addition. So
Thank you, Carly.
thank you.
I will move us on to item 11C. I will open the public accounting of development fees for 21-22 fiscal year. Are there any comments? I will close. the public hearing for accounting of development fees for 21-22 fiscal year. And I will move us on to item 11, adopt resolution 29-22-23 regarding accounting of development fees for the 2021-2022 fiscal year.
I move we adopt resolution 29-2223.
I'll second it.
Quentin, your preferential vote?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. The motion passes 6-0. And I will move us on to 11E, certify financial condition first interim report 22-23.
Yes. Great. Okay, here we go. As mentioned, this is the first interim report. And I'm just going to go through just a few slides here. These are, you're familiar with these, you've seen them. They're always included in the presentation, but just kind of just quickly, the first interim report covers from July 1st through October 31st. And then we also project out for the balance of the year. The three different certification, positive, qualified, negative, and those are the description for each one of them. The recommendation is to certify positive certification, and I'll explain why. The annual budget cycle. So this is not, this is really the third time you're seeing the budget. You adopted it in June, and then you've seen a revised budget, which is really also called 45-day revise in August, and now the first interim. Okay, so in terms of revenue, this is looking at the budget that was approved back in June for the 22-23 fiscal year. Any changes that happened since you've adopted the budget and through November. So really looking at about a 6-month period, right? Even though in August, we did present to you changes from the enacted budget, the state enacted budget. But what we wanted to do for the first interim is really start from the adopted budget to the first interim, so you can see the changes. So in terms of revenue, local control funding formula, which is LCFF, we're seeing an increase of $1.9 million, and in federal, it's almost 1.7. State, there's a change there, and I'll explain more in the next couple of slides. And then local revenue. So the chart shows the percentage by the different revenue sources. And as you can see, LCFF, we get the most revenue, is actually the state, I should say, which is a combined local control funding formulas revenue, as well as the other state revenue is really where we get most of our funding. So this is our first interim adjustments from the revenue. Overall, it's a 0.6 million net increase in revenue. But as you can see, the changes there, we noted them for you to just see. 1.9 million, as I mentioned earlier, is local control coming from it's local control funding formula. Changes in the increase of $1.7 million is Title I, Title II, Title III, just kind of combine those, including deferred revenue. So when we presented the unaudited actuals in September, we noted that there were some revenue that cash that we received, federal cash that we received that we didn't use. And so those were deferred. And now in the new year, we actually get to account for those, because there are restrictions on how you post the revenue when they are considered unearned. So this year, as a first interim, those dollars are now posted. We did receive, or in this case, posted the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program that's included in the enacted budget. The reduction you see there is what we reported as a 45-day revise. It's a 12.1 million. What we assumed in the budget was a 12.1 million discretionary funds, because at that during May revise, the governor mentioned that there is going to be some new one-time funding that's what we considered at that time discretionary, but what ended up happening when he signed the budget is those are no longer unrestricted. They actually are restricted. So that's why it's a negative, but then it's also a positive in the restricted. Unrestricted is minus 12.1, but then we receive $11 million in the that are restricted funds. So again, just highlighting a few of what we received to date, including grants that we applied for, that we received, and also the one-time donations, which is the $0.6 million. We don't post revenues or donations until we actually receive cash. On the expenditure side, again, this is from original budget to first interim. A big difference there, really $22.6 million. And that's because of all the influx of one-time money, carryover from prior year, and including what the state, because of the excess, or in this case, money that the state received last year, right? And the governor wanted to give us a lot of one-time funds. He increased the base, but he also gave us a lot of one-time money that's included in the enacted budget. So that's the reason why you're seeing a big increase there from adopted budget to first interim. So salaries is one of them. The board approved a compensation increase and it's across the board. All employees receive that. So that's included now in our budget, as well as all these carryover one-time funds and also donations that we receive. So that is the reason why it's a 22.6 million change in our budget. So again, listing every single one of them, right? So I mentioned the 6.8 million compensation increase. That includes also health and welfare benefit increase. ESSER funds that we receive from prior year. These are one-time funds. They're not, when the governor gave us these one-time funds, they actually have 2 to 3 year that we are allowed to spend them over a 2 to 3 year period, right? So when you give us the one-time funds, it's not just 1 year. So what we do is we really look at the programs and anything that we can, following the allowable uses, right? So they are restricted. They come to us restricted. So we need to make sure that we come up with a plan, and you've approved all the different plans, SR 1, 2, and 3. We have the other grants also, where we have, the plans that you've approved. I'm forgetting one of them. This is BGC. It's acronym, but I'm forgetting the
BCG.
BCG. I'll remember it.
Write plans for.
Yes.
You wrote 5 plans.
Yes, you wrote BCG.
Yes.
What is? Yeah.
BCBG
stands for? I'm forgetting. BCBG.
That's what we just complained about today. Don't
Yes.
give us one-time money and ask for a plan.
Yeah, that's for a plan. So I'm sure I'll remember it after. Yeah. So as I go through this presentation. So those are plans that you recall when we approved. It's not just a 1 year. There were like 2 to 3 year plans, and so that's why that's what we're doing is posting whatever or recording when based on those plans. So for year 1, if it's out of a good example, if it's $5 million that we received, year 1, our plan was maybe to spend 1.5 million of that. Then the following year will be 2 million, and so that's what we follow. It's according to the plan that was approved. So the Career Technical Incentive Grant, we're very grateful for the ROP and ROP for really just looking and applying for additional funding, and so that's what that additional $0.3 million We are now up to $500,000 for CTEIG, which is great. In the past, it's about $200,000, $250,000 to $300,000. Now we're about $500,000. Included in the enacted budget is the increase in the expanded learning opportunity program. That's why you're seeing an additional revenue there. And then, of course, then the strong workforce grant, which is also a couple of years. That's good for a couple of years. We received about $100,000 for ethnic studies block grant. Thank you to Ed Services team for applying for this grant. And then we have other donations that we budgeted as well. So after all that, so looking at revenue minus our projected expenditures, our ending fund balance is $21.9 million after all of these set asides here, including legally restricted $4.8 million and also supplemental funds that we must commit if we don't have them budgeted, but almost $735,000. We have a reserve of $7.3 million. So which is about 5.32% of our total expenditures. So because of the all of the one-time funds, including carryover, this is it shows that it's only 5.32. But if you look at the $7.3 million, compare it to the 45-day revise, it's a difference of about $400,000. The reason that the dollar amount changed, the reserve amount changed, is because of the approved increase to the substitute rate and also staffing changes. We did increase enrollment, so that means we added staff, and so that's the reason why that is about $400,000 less than 45-day revised report. Looking at our multi-year projections, this is a look. We always look at 3 years because we're required to have our 3% reserve in all 3 years, and so we're meeting that. So our local control funding formula, as you can see, it's just steady there. It's $96 million, close to 96 in the next year, and then a little bit above $96 million in 24-25. And same for the federal revenues and state revenues, you're seeing a change, some changes there because of how we apply those one-time funds that I explained earlier. If we have a 5-year grant or a 3-year grant, then we account for the money that we are planned to spend. So that's why it's 27 million versus 29 and down to 22, because the 3rd year is actually when we project that we will fully spend all of the one-time funds that we receive from the state. All of our expenditures, salaries, and all of the books and supplies and services are all included there. And then the ending fund balance, as well as all the way at the bottom, is our reserve for economic uncertainties, and the percentage, which is the last line there, for each year. We are in 24-25, based on the multi-year projection, is at 3.15%. Our assumptions, the assumptions that we use to prepare the multi-year projection. So in the current year, cost of living adjustment, sorry, it says 0, but actually that's not correct. So that should not be there. It says it should start with cost of living adjustment, which is COLA, of 6.56 in 22-23, which is the current year, plus the additional LCFF investment is already assumed in our budget, which is that increase in the base. So that's 6.28%. But for the out years, so when I shared the slide, if I can go back, that 96 million is really kind of, it didn't change much. That's because for the 2 years, we did not assume a COLA because we're waiting to hear from the the governor's proposed budget that comes out next month, which is January 2023. The reason for that is because we're hearing a 24 billion deficit. So we want to really hear more about what he plans to give to school districts as far as cost of living adjustment. Okay, multi-year projection. We removed the one-time funds, as I explained earlier. I've just noted a few of the items there: discretionary block grant that's going away, the other block grant, and also one-time funds. We continue to look at the step-in column for all 3 years. That's included in our multi-year. We assume all the step-in column. CalSTRS and CalPERS increase as well. So I've noted every single year what those are, with the percentage. CalSTRS, as of right now, obviously we don't know, it's going to be part of the governor's proposed budget, what the CalSTRS rates will look like, but currently they're at 19.1% for the next 3 years. But CalPERS, if you could look at those numbers, is we're at 25.37 going up to 24.64 CalPERS. Okay, so that was the general fund, and now we'll look at other funds. This is ending fund balance. Happy to note that all of our funds have a positive ending fund balance. I'm going to highlight just a couple of here. We have the a cafeteria special reserve, $2.4 million. And this is, obviously different from what we've seen in the past. In the past, there were some, cafeteria always needed a contribution, but in this case, because our the increase in participation, it's really helping us, and so they're carrying a reserve now. We do have plans to spend those dollars. We have a lot of aging equipment in our cafeterias, walk-in freezers and all of that. So this is really a good opportunity for us to look at this reserve to try to get our equipment replaced. And then our building fund, Fund 21, this is our Measure G funds. We are now down to $4.2 million. So we sold our last series of bonds last year. And so with all the projects that we've been able to do, we are now getting down to very close to ending that Measure G, the Measure G projects. But we still have the capital funds and also the county school facilities funds that really those funds are going to be used to supplement our Measure G projects. Just the next steps there that you're familiar with. This report is due to the county tomorrow. We will come back after we attend the governor's proposed budget to provide you with the up-to-date information about the 23-24 budget. And then presentation will come. I'll come back for the second interim report. Then we have the May revise, and then of course June will be the hearings and adoptions for both the budget and LCAP. So if you have any questions, and
Mike?
As always, thanks for your updates. If you look at the bullet point about the May, okay, so January, we're going to see the governor sort of say what his intentions are. It seemed like last year, what was happening was the COLA for each update was like getting a little bit more, getting a little bit more, getting a little bit more. When I think about the LAO report anticipating a $25-ish billion deficit, I would think that we can be less optimistic about that high of a COLA. But I'm also trying to temper expectations around knowing that a lot of the funds that were coming from the state were those one-time funds.
yes.
So I'm just curious to know, like in the CBO community, what are y'all prognosing? Where are you thinking in terms of like where we could find ourselves? And I know we also have Prop 28 funds coming in as well. I'm just
Right. Yeah. So definitely we're closely monitoring the revenue. We get an update like monthly, and we are seeing the decline, right, in the collection of revenues. So it's really the projection for the COLA, right, that the governor projected for next year is based on those estimates. But as the revenues come in, actual cash comes in, then that's why the COLA will either go up or go down depending on the collection of revenues. So because of the inflation and everything that we're seeing, you're right. We're not very optimistic that it's going to be around that 8%. It may be lower than that, but it could also be back to they're going to collect more revenues, right? So it just depends, and that's why these projections are only projections, right? We don't really know if the COLA is going to be funded until he enacts the budget, right? Which is in July. So that's why there's so many changes that happen from now until June because of what we're hearing. So first, second interim, you're going to hear something different. The COLA may not be 8, but maybe 7. And then all of a sudden, when he actually enacts the budget, because then he has more all the years months that he's collected, the state collected revenue, then he may adjust that down to maybe 5, right? So that's happened compared to last year where it was this COLA and then it's actually because of the revenue that they collected every single month. So that plays into all of that.
I was going to add to the fact that like the governor actually did something, a good thing that he did. He has reserves. So, and that was, he could have given it all away last year and he didn't. So that's going to cover some of the, some of the issues that we may have. When we heard school services, CASBO and capital advisors, they're all saying, like Susie is saying, we don't know. But, there have been times where we kind of said, like, we're not going to have anything. So we'll just wait. And that's why, January is just the beginning.
Mhm.
So we'll find out.
Gary and then Dolly. And then Sarah.
This is like deja vu, I think, to a great extent, because, when I look at that 3-year projection there and see that even in the midst of our lots of one-time money available, we're back down to 3%. I recognize it's a projection and you haven't put in the COLA, but we haven't also put in inflation and we haven't put in any staff adjustments or anything like that, which usually eats up the COLA right there. So, I'm nervous again, because it just gets a lot. It's been easy the last couple of years, but before that it was hard. And I fear that we may be moving back to a hard phase as opposed to so we'll see what happens, but I'm just somewhat nervous by it.
Dolly?
I just had a tiny question about the CalPERS contribution. It looks like it's 24.37, then it goes up to 25, and then it looks like it goes back down to 24. Why is that? That's usually it either is steady, or it seems to me, or it goes up, but not up and down.
Yes, very good question. It's because of the investments, right? It depends on how much the liability is growing versus, and then the investment. So they have they actually do an actuarial report. And so they base it on that. So every year, depending on how the economy is going with the interest rates and all of that, then you might see a change down, right? Because then the liability is somehow gets smaller because of the additional revenue from the investments. And then and then after 3 years, they'll do another actuarial report based on the number of employees, and also, unemployment plays a part in it. Then they'll change those projections. So it is based on those reports that they do on a regular
Is that
basis.
just CalPERS does that, or does CalSTRS also do that?
They do, but because CalSTRS, it's set by statute, so they do something different compared to CalPERS.
Sarah, and then Mike.
So my question is a little similar to what Dolly just asked with respect to the pensions, but this is more a reaction to seeing the decrease in projected funds for salaries and benefits. And can you explain a little bit more about why we might see a decrease?
Yes, so great question. So for salaries and benefits, you're seeing 107, 105, and then 106, right? And that's because of the one-time money, right? So we eliminate all the one-time funds that may have, maybe we added like a position using one-time funds. So because those one-time funds will eventually go away, then that means that in the projection, those comes out.
Is that going to be jeopardizing those positions?
So those are so when we have positions that are funded by one-time funds, we do have an end date, and so obviously that's a discussion that we go through every year. So and then what we do is if there is additional, like maybe if we can apply for a grant, right, that can extend the position, then that's what we do.
Okay, thank
well.
you. I appreciate it.
Mike.
I just wanted to confirm one thing and ask another question. And I promise after this, I'll have no more questions. It seemed to be around the Great Recession, right? That's when we saw the big increase in contributions towards retirement. I remember at UC, we went from like nothing to a lot. We're at that. We've already peaked in terms of like that. There was that great acceleration, and now we're just in sort of the period of higher rates, right? So we're not imagining any big fluctuations up and down.
I don't think so. I think this is probably we did reach the peak, some change. I think they've done a lot of changes in terms of what can be applied towards pension, right? They did a lot of work, a lot of policy changes, if I can say that. So, and they do a lot of, they audit now on a regular basis. So to catch a lot of the spiking of salaries and things like that, that is helping and with this process. And so in the past, there's not a whole lot of that, but I am seeing, the past few years that they have ramped up on doing a lot of audit. And we've gone through, Castro Valley has gone through a couple of audits and, reviewed all of our, compared the contract versus what we have on our salary and things like that and compensation. And
My question was about so we saw a pretty huge delta in our enrollment from last year to this year. Pretty significant, almost. I think our highest was 9,400. We're somewhere in the 9,300s now.
yes, so we are actually at 9,200. We
92.
were at the highest was 9,400. Yes.
So when you see that type of huge increase, like those type of dollars coming in, are those dollars immediately eaten up by having to hire new positions, or do we see a bump in our budget, if that makes any sense? Is it a delayed type of?
We see so definitely, so the revenue will see a bump in but that also depends on the as you know, we're not funded by enrollment. We're actually funded based on the attendance, right? So if our attendance, because we're all still in the pandemic, right, we still see a lot of absences. So if that, we were always hovering about 96% attendance rate. And because of the pandemic, we were down to 94% last year. This year, we're about 95, which is good. So we're not quite up to the percentage that we used to. So that could just be, change that, yeah, we may see the enrollment then, but then the decline in the attendance rate kind of just balance it out. So
Mhm.
that's what it's,
And to think 1%, was it 1% is like $750,000.
it's 850. Yeah.
850 now.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Mike?
I just wanted to ask our superintendent. So, in this, as we head towards the end of this pandemic era, conversations with AXA state leaders about, we want kids to stay home if they're sick, right? And we shouldn't
Mhm.
be held, we shouldn't lose revenue based on that. Any permanent change in thinking about how we get our revenue?
Yeah, I think the pushback is always, if you remember why they went from enrollment to attendance, it's an equity issue. So, and the district that is pushing really hard to go back to enrollment versus attendance is Los Angeles Unified, because they would get a lot of money. And there's then pushback from the state and those who really focus on, hey, if it's on enrollment, when it was on enrollment, there were districts that didn't check in to see why a kid didn't come to school. So it's kind of a philosophical thing, but they did give us they did work with us. Otherwise we would be in a world of hurt. I was going to say, so we had additional students. Susie is really awesome about being very conservative when we project our numbers. And I think with TK, the next couple of years, everybody will have more students, but we don't really know how many more yet, but we know we have a few more students.
Yeah, so I've just actually reviewed the draft demographic report, and we will present that to you next month. And so you're going to see the trend and the birth rates and all of that. So a lot of the questions about enrollment will be addressed next month. And yeah, so that's definitely something that we're always looking at, just to make sure that, the TK numbers, they are up this year. We were from 120 to now close to 150, which is great. So it's a big plus for us.
I make a motion.
You can.
I'd like to make a motion that we certify the financial condition, the first interim report 2022-2023.
I'll second it. Go ahead.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Quentin, your preferential vote?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
I'm going to say it now. Vice President Kuziak?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, and that'll pass us 6-0. Sorry for not saying it earlier.
6-0.
And we will move on to item 12, board member comments reports. Quentin, is there anything else you want to share with us tonight?
Nope.
Sarah?
Well, I think obviously this is my first meeting here tonight, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's helped me start to get my feet underneath me here. And I'm going to be the first to admit publicly here that I've got a lot to learn, but I'm really excited to be doing it and to be part of this group. I really have loved seeing what our district has given to my own family, for my kids, and the experiences that we've had as a family in our schools. And I am really excited to be part of solutions here in the district going forward. So look forward to getting to know everybody and working with all of you.
Thank you, Sarah, and welcome. Gary?
Well, congratulations and welcome to the school board. Glad to have you. So let's see, what have I got here? I was at it's been a long time since we've had a board meeting, actually. So I was at Redwood School. They had their Thanksgiving lunch/dinner this year. They've not done it for a couple of years, and so they're back into baby steps now. It wasn't turkey and ham and tons of stuff. It was pizza and hot dogs and hamburgers and veggie burgers. But they're starting it again. So that's really a great thing. It's a fabulous tradition. It's dinner for all their students and any parents, and staff and everybody else who wants to attend. It's a great tradition. Let's see. I was at the Eden Area ROP meeting, and also one special meeting that we had with the ROP. And things are going very well there. Blaine is doing a great job over there, and it's just fun to work with and everything for sure. I got to see, went to the choir concert on Saturday. I think you went on Friday night, Parveen. It was fabulous as always. And then fortunately yesterday I got to see the madrigals again at Rotary. So 2 times of seeing those choirs, they're just spectacular. And the last thing I want to say is I'll be out of state from December 19th to 27th, but I can be reached by email or phone. So thank you very much. Have a great holiday.
Thank you, Gary. Dolly?
Yes. Okay, so it has been a while since we met, and really welcome to the board, Sarah. I met with Kevin Nazario and Jason just for updates. Yesterday, I was able to visit Vanoy Elementary and see the dual immersion classrooms and some other classrooms as well. It was absolutely amazing to see the kids there. They were so engaged. They wanted to show me everything. They have these little cards, and they were, there were like different assignments or different things at every different table. And the kids just all wanted to show me what they were doing. And they were so sweet and adorable. I really enjoyed my visit to Vanoy. And I understand quite a lot better what the dual immersion classroom is. I was with, of course, Doris De La Torre, and she is just great, and the principal there. And I don't know, I just, that was really a great visit to that school. I went to a Christmas party for children, which was sponsored by Rotary, and I think also maybe the CHIPS or the CHP. And there was Santa came, and it was just wonderful to see the kids how happy they were when Santa came on the fire truck. Really very good, and I was so glad to be able to volunteer there. I was at a board policy subcommittee meeting with Michael, community advisory meeting, special ed advisory meeting, and I met with Parveen just to ask questions and find out what's going on about some things once or twice.
Thank you, Dolly. Vice President Kuziak.
Yes, President Lavender Whitaker. Went to the Educational Foundation, and that was really moving to for them to talk about their investments in the wellness centers in middle school. This is really close to me and my family. I will just say that. And those type of investments in our middle schools right now are needed. So I just want to extend my thanks to the Educational Foundation for making that investment. The equity team, I am always inspired by what we learned there, what we discussed there, and the conversations that go there. And it really demonstrates the heart of this district. So I appreciate all of that work there. I did something else. Oh yes, I went to CVTIP. So CVTIP, another an acronym. It's induction. We provide a program for our new teachers to the district, and guiding them in that first year. And it was wonderful. We sat down. I made some homemade cookies, and we talked. And I appreciate they actually do fantastic board updates for us, but I appreciated just one-on-one hearing what does it take to welcome a teacher into the profession, how they provide one-on-one coaching, how they provide coaching that is disconnected to their performance from their supervisor. I think that's a really key thing to create a safe space for them. Thinking about some of the equity issues that we talk about here, how our workforce will align to our student population, and how we support new teachers of color in our district, for example. So I love the intentionality, and I love the fact that these are all teachers who decided that they wanted to teach teachers. So I just really am grateful for that. I do want to do one of those proud dad moment things, and because it is school connected, I had the pleasure of seeing the Creekside concert of their bands. I had two Kuziaks were performing in it, and what was always wonderful if you go to our music performances in the district is you really appreciate the music team as a team. They work across the middle school and the high school. They're all working together, right? And you could really see that on display, just seeing all of them there to support each other in corralling the kids. And I would say that Teddy and Ollie did a fantastic job, and their mom and dad were very proud of them. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Kuziak. Superintendent Amati, is there anything you would like to share?
No, nothing else, other than we saw Santa yesterday too. Quentin and I were there when the Santa arrived in on the fire truck.
Lit up.
So I only represented the board a couple times at November 16th Parent Leadership Council meeting. It was great to hear from the parents and what they've been up to and all the great things that they're doing to support their schools. And then I was lucky enough to welcome Trustee Raymond last week, and we met and chatted a little bit. Just want to welcome you to our team and thank you for taking the huge step to represent our community. It's good work, but it's hard work, and we welcome you with open arms. And lastly, I just want to send a little note. It's the end of the year. Kids are studying for finals. Teachers are finishing up their work. Want to thank our teachers and our staff for all the hard work that they do to create this wonderful school community that we have here. And we're heading into the holidays. We have a very diverse community. And I just want to send happy, hopefully you'll all be safe and warm and welcome and have a great holiday season. But I do want to recognize that there are people out there that the holidays can be very, very hard due to various factors. And I want to thank our staff for making sure that our students who need meals still have meals over the break, and everything that our staff does to make sure that our students have the resources that they need. The student groups that provide for families in need, the PTAs across our great community that make sure that we help out those in need, to our community groups that help out those in need. And for all of you out there, you know, it's been a hard few years, and I just hope you all have a safe, happy, healthy holiday season filled with joy, no matter where you come from, no matter where you're at, and no matter where you will be. So happy holidays, everyone. This concludes our meeting.